Okay, I need to start off by talking about this story that I saw right before I went live. Okay. Producer Jason Cloth indicted over alleged $100 million Ponzi scheme. Jason Cloth is another hashtag man who used to come to the clubs and who we would roll the red carpet out for because he was a big, rich, famous producer and he wanted to fuck hot waitresses. And I remember when my ex-boss, who he was a client of, would be like, he can help you with your career. I was like, no, I don't think so. I think he just wants to get in my pants. Like all of these men behave when they come into the club and spend a lot of money and they're like, you know what? I don't like women who are over 25, but if you're under 25, would absolutely love to take you on a date. And then as soon as I'm done with you, goodbye. Now, I never went on a date with Jason Cloth, but I know other waitresses who were like trying to be actresses, trying to be in the business, who were like, oh, he's a big time producer. Well, here's the thing about Hollywood and so many of these men in Hollywood, they're all scammers. They're scammers. They're grifters. They're opportunists. They lie and lie and lie and get away with it because they're men and they pretend to be much more rich and powerful than they are. And if you are thinking to yourself, wait a second, this sounds familiar. It's because of the other fucking guy, Zach Horowitz, who was another fucking guy that I had to serve when he would come into the clubs, who ran the largest Ponzi scheme in Hollywood and was arrested in 2020. Yeah. 2 guys now who I'm like, yeah, I know that guy. Yep. I know that guy. And that guy did a Ponzi scheme. So Jason Cloth, who's a Canadian financier with executive producer credits on dozens of films like Joker, Licorice Pizza, and House of Gucci, Father, Son, and House of Gucci, has been indicted for allegedly defrauding investors out of $100 million. Cloth was arrested on Tuesday in Los Angeles. He faces 7 counts of wire fraud, according to an indictment unsealed in federal court in Chicago. In 2024, he had stepped down as co-head of C2 Motion Picture Group as he fielded allegations of fraud on a number of projects. Oh, like Randall Emmett? Yeah, another fucking guy that I had to deal with. And that guy is especially an asshole. That guy sucks, and he had such a gambling problem. A massive gambling problem. And I had to deal with him as well. Canadians are sorry. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Delphinius, thank you for the prime. Amateur Phantom, thank you for the 24 months. UC Josh, thank you for the prime. Coffees and Tacos, thank you for the 2 months. Okay, so he stepped down as co-head of C2 Motion Picture Group. The announcement came a week after a Florida jury found that he scammed an investor out of millions of dollars for the production of a slate of movies, including Ghostbusters Afterlife, Monkey Man, and NBA docuseries The Pathway. Anon, thank you for the 5 gifted. Stinelli, thank you for the 25 months. Since 2021, he and his former financing company, Creative Wealth Media, which declared bankruptcy in 2023, have been named in at least 4 lawsuits accusing him of shuffling investments around various entities to repay outstanding loans. And it's so funny, too, because one thing I talked about when I talked about Zachary Horowitz, aka Zachary Avery, who was arrested for running the 2nd largest Ponzi scheme in history, second to Bernie Madoff, and the largest Ponzi scheme in Hollywood, is that these guys would come in, we would roll out the red carpet, the big spendas, and then we would introduce, my boss would be like, introduce him to, they're both big, important men. And so they would all just be at tables together and yada, yada, yada. And they were doing big business. They were doing big business that a little girl like me simply couldn't understand. From 2019 to 2026, Cloth solicited big money investments. Big money. From clients looking to finance films and other entertainment projects with Creative Wealth, according to the indictment. He allegedly secured more than $100 million from an Illinois investment advisor and its clients whose funds were used for other purposes, including the development of a real estate project in Canada. Some of the money was used to repay prior investors. Creative Wealth was the primary financier for Canadian production and finance company Bronze Studios, which had garnered 30 Oscar nominations and 6 wins across various films it financed or produced before it filed for bankruptcy in 2023. The Aaron Gilbert-led outfit had been accused of widespread fraud in lawsuits. And the other thing that this has in common with Zach Horowitz's Ponzi scheme is also the connection to Chicago and scamming individuals and like investors in Chicago and the Chicago area. Creative Wealth was granted the majority of Bron's remaining assets, including its stake in several films in bankruptcy proceedings. At the time, Cloth attributed investment failures to Bron's bankruptcy. We are pleased that the court recognized how Creative Wealth was affected by Bron's actions and has decided to award us control of its surviving assets. He faces up to 20 years for each count of wire fraud. The indictment seeks the forfeiture of at least $12.25 million. Not good for old Jason Cloth. Okay, so quick little ABC 7 Chicago vid.
Several Cook County residents who
Francie C, thank you for the 36. HMGB King, thank you for the 34 months.
Turned into a bad joke for several Cook County residents who say when they handed over $30 million to the producer of the latest Mission Impossible, Babylon, and Joke.
I know we say this all the time, but I'm saying it again. It's all corrupt, girl. There is so much scamming and grifting and lying and defrauding, especially in an industry like Hollywood. Everyone is so full of shit.
Films, it was just a Ponzi-style scheme. Tonight, a class action lawsuit filed here against producer Jason Cloth, alleging the Canadian man is a Hollywood con artist.
The Canadian man.
Well, no one's laughing now.
You can say that again, pal.
Whether just a bad financial joke or a Mission Impossible investment, tonight the producer of both blockbuster films, Jason Cloth, is accused by Cook County investors of operating a Ponzi-style investment scheme that pays existing financiers with money collected from new ones.
So he starts off with, one
At
entity
least
with
we got
Canadian
Babylon.
investors,
That's so true.
and then they all get stiffed. And then he moves on to institutional investors. Then they all get stiffed. Then he moves on to a third entity with American investors in Chicago, and then they all get stiffed. Then he moves on to a fourth entity, and he keeps on moving through the entities and using Canadian bankruptcies to stiff the investors.
Cloth.
Wonder Gal, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Okay, if you don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, it's what you just described. So it's a fake investment scheme, and you get investors, right? You get a first round of investors, and you make a bunch of promises, tell a bunch of lies, and you then from there get more investors. So the old investors get money from the new investors while you're also siphoning it for yourself. And so it creates the falsity of profit. So you go, look at all this money that our business is generating. Don't you want to invest in it? And so you keep paying off it's like you pay off this level with the money from the next level and so on and so forth. But the reason that often Ponzi schemes come crashing down is because the people or person at the center, they get too greedy, they get too big, and then too many investors come calling at once and are like, where's my fucking money? And it is, it's unsustainable. And so it starts to come crashing down when people start to suspect that it is potentially a scheme. And you can run out of people too. Yes, if you can't keep sustaining investors and bringing in new investors, then you're kind of shit out of luck.
most recently produced Babylon with Brad Pitt and is a Hollywood staple. But in this class action lawsuit filed late today in Cook County, he and several so-called Canadian compatriots allegedly devised a scam to escape bankruptcy over the border and lack securities enforcement in Canada. The investor's Chicago attorney tonight tells the I-Team that producer Cloth targeted some wealthy North Shore residents with his
So the structure of circular financing, which we talked about with AI, has similarities to how Ponzi schemes operate, but it's not a Ponzi scheme because circular financing is not defrauding the other companies that are in the circle. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent operation because the people who are investing don't know that they're getting schemed. It's not like the money is being passed around in the way that it is in circular financing, where company A invests in company B buys the products from company A, company C then invests in company B, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, as far as like the kind of, there are structural similarities, but it's not the same because in the Ponzi, there's the one person who's at the center of the scheme.
Hollywood accounting methods that made Midwesterners easy targets.
With the movie funding investments, this doesn't work in California where people actually understand how movie finance works. So what the movie finance con men do is they reach out to the Midwest and they get into the Midwest through brokers. And so Mr. Cloth made...
Also, this is illegal. Circular financing operates with legal transactions, even though, remember, just because something is legal does not make it good. But a Ponzi scheme is totally illegal. It's totally illegal transactions, and the entire thing is built on fraud. Based Maxed, thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Friends with a broker in the Chicago area.
Metro Chicago investors said to have lost $35 million, while the class action alleges 100 victims are out $88 million to producer Jason Cloth. The I-Team has attempted to find Cloth in Canada and Miami, but we haven't found a working phone or a current attorney. The attorney for Cloth's alleged victim says,
"Oh, I can probably give him his cell phone number."
He believes both the FBI and the Securities and Exchange Commission here in the U.S. should be looking at criminal action in the case.
Yeah, I literally have his cell phone number. You guys want it?
Tells us he can't understand why they aren't yet.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
In this episode of American Greed, a struggling actor with a side...
Can we get a comment on stream? Wait. There's no way this is gonna... Hi, this is Caroline Kwan with Kwan News Network, and I am calling to get a comment on the Hollywood Reporter story about the alleged Ponzi scheme that you were operating. Okay, wait. That's something I'm allowed to do. No, Kwan News Network. That's real. This is KNN. All right, let's see. I doubt.
Of Jason Cloth.
It went automatically to voicemail. This is journalism, y'all. This is real journalism. Why didn't he answer? Well,
several Cook County residents,
listen at the
end
here.
FBI and the Securities and Exchange Commission here in the U.S. should be looking at criminal action in the case. He tells us he can't understand why they aren't yet.
Watch breaking news.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
$88 million to producer Jason Cloth. The I-Team has attempted to find Cloth in Canada and Miami, but we haven't found a working phone or a current attorney. The attorney for Cloth.
That phone is off. No, it is not on Do Not Disturb. It is fucking off. You just heard this guy say they have not been able to get a working phone or locate him. What would you have said if he answered? Exactly what I just said. Hi, this is Caroline Kwan with Kwan News Network, and I am inquiring for a comment regarding the $100 million Ponzi scheme that you are currently facing indictment for. Do you have any comment? Do you have a comment on the 7 charges you are currently facing of fraud? Any comment? The people would like to know. The people would like to know what you have to say as far as Joker 2 goes, because that movie was a real fucking piece of shit. What if he had you stored in his phone as something like favorite waitress and he forgot who that was? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very funny that he is, they reported in here that his phone is not reachable. He'd probably respond if you just called as yourself. Oh my God, Jason, hi. Do you remember me from SBE nightclubs? Yeah, I was a host. I facilitated your many a table experience at our multiple nightclubs. And I saw what's happening. That's crazy. Obviously, you didn't do it. Hashtag free Jason Cloth. That mic better be at the US Open. Yeah, I'm just going to have the mic as I'm watching mixed doubles at the US Open. I'm just going to have this with me because you never know when you need it. Hashtag free the cloth. Okay, so then I wanted to show y'all this as a reminder of the other guy.
In this episode of
Now,
American Greed.
This guy was even worse. This guy, whose name is Zachary Horowitz, but whose stage name was Zach Avery. And he was indicted on a Ponzi scheme that I think it was like $650 million or something like that. The second biggest Ponzi scheme to Bernie Madoff's. And I remember this guy because when he first started coming in as a client, he would spend the craziest amount of money on like a Tuesday. Nobody's in the club and he's spending $20,000. I didn't get any of that because I was a host and I got paid a flat rate of $150 a night, no matter how much money was spent. But I remember asking my boss, who the fuck is this guy and how does he have so much money? And she goes, oh, he's an actor. I go, I've never heard of him. And I know every single actor. And she's like, no, he's an actor. I don't know. And so I looked him up and I went, this guy has been in like a couple of D-list horror movies. Ain't no way is that producing the funds that he is spending on a nightly basis. So then I went, okay, maybe he's a Nepo baby. Maybe he's got like rich parents or something. Couldn't find anything to connect him to some wealthy family. So from the get-go, I was like, this is really bizarre. My spidey senses were tingling, but nobody cared because he spent a lot of money and he tipped a lot of money as well. So imagine my shock, but not surprise when during COVID in 2020, I started to see reports that Zach Avery, aka Zach Horowitz, had been arrested for an alleged massive Ponzi scheme. And what happened was this guy got so out of control, and it always starts small. It always starts small. They always usually go to the people that they have personal connections to, so family members, friends. And he was from Chicago, or he had moved from the Chicago area with his then girlfriend, who he married, and then he was cheating on once he started having tens of millions of dollars and was going to Vegas and spending like $100,000 in one weekend. But they moved from Chicago to Los Angeles. He tried to be an actor. Like a lot of people's experiences, it was very difficult. It's a very, very competitive industry. So instead, he decided to start scheming. And scheming did he do. And I remember when he had bought like a $7 million mansion in Brentwood, and then he came out to the club one night and everyone's like, oh my God, we brought out signs that said, congratulations on your mansion. I'm not fucking kidding you. I'm not kidding. He bought this mansion. He was like flying private with his posse to Miami and Vegas and partying all the time. And it was crazy. And so when it all came out and then he got sent to prison, I think it was like 20 years, I went, yeah, these fucking scammers are scamming all over the place.
Reed, a struggling actor with a side hustle worth.
And then remember when the documentary that was done on him, remember when they called me because somehow they found out that I had worked at the clubs that he went to in Los Angeles, and they potentially wanted me to be a part of the documentary, but I guess I didn't have anything that was salacious enough.
Millions.
This one is tragic because it started off as imaginary, continued imaginary, and then grew so large.
Zach Horowitz moves from Indiana to Hollywood.
I'm good enough. I can do this.
Takes the stage name Zach Avery and dazzles his friends back home.
You believe that he was a big-time player in LA.
He was great. Like, you go out, he's buying all the drinks, he's got the good places to go.
There's a phrase,
he's buying all the
like
drinks.
Lying. But for Horowitz, lying is like acting.
As an actor, I feel like you don't want people to know who Zach is as a person.
Because Horowitz's most convincing performance isn't on screen, it's in real life, scamming his longtime friends.
I would just love to know what his end game was with this, and does he feel any remorse?
His pretentious podcast play different now.
Playing that dynamic between...
Of course, they never feel remorse. They are mad they got caught. It's remorse over being caught.
The good guy and the bad guy and how I can work through those nuances was really fun.
It's Hollywood's biggest Ponzi scheme with a warning. Be careful who you trust.
These are his alleged best friends.
This voiceover is so insane.
All their money. I couldn't believe it.
When I was in Cuba, I was involved in a Ponzi scheme without knowing it was one. I made around $12,000. It was called trust investing. You can search it. It was huge in many countries till the CEO got caught. Yeah, look, there are Ponzi schemes all over the place. They're just not often to the tune of this, this amount of money. Like, there are Ponzi schemes everywhere for those with eyes to see. But it's the ones that are like hundreds of millions of dollars that get the attention, of course. And it's also when it's rich people who get scammed. And it's not that it's all rich people who are scammed in these Ponzi schemes, because like I said, they start off with their closest circle. So friends and family who they get to invest. But then from there, they scale up, they get bigger. Sarah, thank you so much for the raid. What's up, everybody? We are talking about Ponzi schemers in good old Hollywood. Derp, thank you for the 31 months. Very confused. NB, thank you for the tier 1. Yeah, no, I was a low rank, and the CEO made close to $1 billion. It was the biggest in the Caribbean.
Unknown
wow.
actor Zach Avery is finally getting somewhere. He's landed a starring role with Olivia Munn in a film called The Gateway. In the movie, Avery, real name Zach Horwitz, plays a hardened criminal.
Well,
ironically, at the very moment he shoots this scene, walking a cell block in a jail, Horwitz is a real-life criminal mastermind, running an investment scheme built on 100% lies.
It was clear from the beginning that it was just fake from the get-go.
Zach Horwitz has talent. He's a world-class liar. With charm that he lays on thick for anyone with a microphone and camera.
Knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do the I always knew, right? Hindsight is always 20/20. But the thing that pisses me off is when they try and present these guys as geniuses. They're like he was going around town and making big business deals, but the whole time was actually a liar. It's like, yeah, when I met Zach Horwitz, he gave off, first of all, fuckboy vibes. Second of all, gave off like, this guy is not real. This guy is not real, but I was just a lowly host in working for this company, and nobody seemed to give a shit when I'd be like, hey, what's up with this guy?
I would tell him that everything...
But that's a reminder of how, no, these people are not geniuses. These scammers and these schemers are not these geniuses who are running these like intricate schemes. This is not a Jesse Armstrong script. I was working undercover for KNN. Yeah. Amanda, thank you for the 23 minutes.
Happens for a reason. That you're going to go through trials and tribulations, but they will all teach you something along the way that you'll use in the future, and you'll be all right, kid. Don't worry about it.
Like many Hollywood stories,
it's like Billy McFarland. Okay, have you ever listened to an interview with Billy McFarland? If you watch the stream, you have. Billy McFarland, you listen to that guy for 2 seconds, you're like, yeah, that guy's a scammer. Yeah, that guy's a fucking grifter.
This one begins
They're
in
so
the heartland.
mediocre.
In this case, Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's modest, humble, and the resting place of American icon Johnny Appleseed. You couldn't get more all-American if you tried.
Zach and I lived in a nice neighborhood. He lived in the very nice part, like probably a fairly brand new house.
Derek McCurr is one of Zach Horowitz's high school friends. Horowitz moves to Fort Wayne for his sophomore year after a childhood spent in Florida.
We met at football our sophomore year and almost instantly became friends.
Chris Krebs is another high school friend. He and others say Zach's family is well off. His stepfather is an executive at a...
Hi, I have a question. Can you get the anti-wokes and right-wing grifters out of my favorite hobbies like gaming and movies? They keep boycotting everything I like, calling everything woke. It's so annoying and stupid. Yes, I'm on it.
Computer components factory.
They certainly weren't struggling. They had a really nice lake house in addition to their main residence.
According to friends, Zach Horwitz is a popular student at Fort Wayne Carroll High School.
He was athletic, played sports. Girls liked him quite a bit. He was just a good guy, fun guy to be around.
In his senior yearbook, Zach is nominated for Homecoming King, awarded Best Body, and is a member of the school's Academy of Finance.
Bodies.
The yearbook page of the club, in a you can't make this up twist, is titled Fun with Future Finances.
It's just surreal. How did this guy from Fort Wayne, Indiana, run a $690 million Ponzi scheme with zero financial background?
Because all you have to do is have enough charm. Sometimes it's not even necessary, but you just bullshit. Okay, you bullshit. And if you are in particular a white dude, people will buy your bullshit, even if you're not a genius bullshitter. You just keep bullshitting and you fail upwards.
After graduating high school in 2005, Zach attends
BS
Indiana
your way,
University
white
in
boy.
downstate Bloomington. While most of his friends attend IU's acclaimed Kelly School of Business, Zach goes a different route and majors in psychology. Friends say Horwitz is a great guy to be pals with, especially on spring break.
It was like I was having coffee with a friend of mine who works in the film industry, and we were talking about just catching up on a bunch of things, and the conversation turned to AI and the industry and yada yada, and we were just going off. And afterwards, this white dude comes up and he goes, "Hey, I heard you talking about AI." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well," and I'm not kidding you guys. He goes, "Well, I'm somewhat of an AI scientist myself." He literally did the meme. He literally did the Spider-Man meme and called himself an AI scientist, and then pulled up his Facebook where he had his AI science on there. It was a piss poor AI generated pic. And I went, "That's great. If you listen to 2 seconds of our conversation on AI, you know we think you're a loser."
You know, the classic, like you throw a football in the sand and bounces towards some girls. You would want Zach to go get that ball, and all of a sudden those girls would be coming back. And
then afterwards, after he walked away, this person who was there was like, "Oh my God, that guy is," he's like, "That guy's such a liar." I said, "Yeah, I picked up on that." He goes, "I have heard him introduce himself to other people at this tea shop, and he's called himself a photographer. He's called himself like a big filmmaker. I guess now he's an AI scientist." I said, "Well, he's a jack of all trades." Remember the two people where we couldn't figure out if they were arguing about how they hated Trump or were MAGA? Sam and I went to get bagels, and we were sitting there, and it was like this very bizarre conversation happening. And so we both stopped talking. We were attempting to eavesdrop, but it was hard because they were far enough away that we couldn't really eavesdrop. So we're like, what's going on here? Is it just a pickup line? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I do not know.
hanging out with us for like the rest of the spring break.
After Horowitz graduates from Indiana, friends say he intends to pursue a graduate degree in psychology. Instead, he opens a restaurant on the north side of Chicago in the summer of 2011. Friends say the shop is funded by inheritance money Horowitz receives after his stepfather passes away.
Zach tells a group of us, "Hey, I'd like you guys to kind of join in with me on this and take on various roles, and we'll hopefully become rich off of this restaurant that I'm going to start up."
The name of the restaurant is Fuel.
No.
Horwitz claims the joint will combine healthy food with a healthy lifestyle, including an on-site nutritionist. While Chris Krebs doesn't invest, he says Horwitz wants him on board.
Zach's like, "Hey, I want to bring you on, do some marketing things, whether it's social or trying to drum up business or whatever that looks like."
Spelled FEWL.
Like,
Horwitz tells Krebs and others that Howard Schultz, yes, Howard Schultz of Starbucks fame, is interested in his concept.
At one point in time, Zach said, "Look,
That
Howard
fucking
Schultz
guy.
has this investment group. It's called Mavron."
Fuel F. F-E like the German way.
And they're interested in what we're doing, and they think there's potential to expand upon it. That was incredibly enticing. I mean, you're counting millions in your head at that point.
After only a few months, the restaurant closes down. Krebs says Zach Horwitz has an interesting excuse for the restaurant
How could Fuel
shuttering.
have closed down?
At the time, he takes it at face value, but it now seems
Anon, thank you for the gift of
prophetic.
the sandwich.
He said that his money manager, who's helping manage his money, was involved in a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, little foreshadowing.
And instead of being like, "Damn, that guy sucks," he goes, "Wait a second, new idea. Hold on." Ran out of fuel.
According to Zach's narrative, on January 1st, 2012, he and his girlfriend pack up their car and abandon the Midwest. They're heading to California, where Zach can pursue his dreams of being an actor.
Stacy Keach here, feeling greedy for more videos like this?
Yeah. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit there. But the rest of the story goes that they move to LA. He starts this company called One in One in a Million Productions, and essentially promotes this company as a distribution and production company where they were going to produce and finance 2 to 3 elevated genre films that were under $5 million budget. And then he starts getting investors from his hometown. And then in order to scale up, he starts faking shit. He would fake like letterhead from Netflix and HBO. He would fake emails showing his relationships with like executives at all of these big studios and streaming companies. And he just starts bullshitting. And he reaches a point where investors had given a total of $650 million for totally fake movie deals with companies like HBO and Netflix. And instead of it being real, Zach was a total phony and then was spending all of this money on a high-end lifestyle. And I feel really bad for his ex-wife. I think she immediately divorced him when this all came out, because she'd been with him for a long time. They moved to LA together. And then when he started making all this money and started living this high-end lifestyle, he started like, he would go to Vegas and pay for sex workers and was cheating on her all the time and was just acting like a fucking asshole. Just this decision, I can already tell this is stupid with money or straight up con manish person, like some young person randomly opening a restaurant called Fuel. Like most restaurants fail, and then and then saying Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, is interested in Fuel. He was convicted. He was arrested on charges of wire fraud. He was pleaded guilty to 1 count of securities fraud, and then was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison and is ordered to pay $230 million in restitution. The scheme impacted over 250 investors. Some of them were financially ruined in what prosecutors called a crime of staggering magnitude. Avery's prosecutor stated that some of his victims had been those close to him. He began by betraying the trust of his own friends, people who lowered their guard because they could not possibly imagine that someone they had known for years would unflinchingly swindle them and their families out of their life savings. He actually got convicted of securities fraud. Yes. Yup. That's the American dream, baby. Just fake it till you make it. And sometimes you go to prison if you defraud rich people. Never screw over other rich people. That was Bernie Madoff's. That was his fatal flaw. He fucked over rich people. Because here's the thing. In America, you can screw over poor people. It happens all the time. It's called capitalism. Our system is built to allow the rich to screw over the poor and the working class. It's the American way. But if you steal from rich people, if the target of your schemes are the wealthy, you're fucked. To be clear, not everyone that Zach had defrauded was wealthy. Like, fuck him. Okay, this is not some Robin Hood thing. That guy fucking sucks. There were a lot of like mom and pop type investors, people who he knew from his hometown, who the thing about Hollywood is that people outside of Hollywood think it's so cool. They think the film industry, the bright lights, the celebrities, like there's so much allure to it. And people, if they have the opportunity, like, are excited to be a part of it. And that's how he pitched it. He was like, I am in LA. I'm fucking killing it. I've made so many connections. I've met with HBO and Netflix and all these big companies. Like, I'm hanging out with celebrities. I'm doing the damn thing, and you should invest because this is going to be big. Rick Scott should be in jail for healthcare fraud. Rick Scott should have never been allowed to walk freely and walk freely as a wealthy man. That guy's got a lot of money, despite operating the largest Medicare fraud scheme. Old Ricky Scott. Yeah. All right. So another Ponzi scheme has hit the nightclub towers. Jason Cloth going down. I'll see if he calls back.